My layout templates are ready for X-14. We're almost done with X-14, so they're priced accordingly. But you get my layout templates for X-14 and they're going to last for a year, which means you're going to get a year of support on whatever X-15 templates I put together if you purchase them now. So, and there's some really good things about these templates that coincide with my Pro Plan and Standard Plan templates. Now, I get a lot of feedback and questions asked about the approach for these templates, and they look like that they're geared towards the remodel contractor. They are in fact geared towards the remodel contractor, but I'd like you to keep in mind I provide new construction services. I also provide remodel and addition services, as well as kitchen design and even some other design and rendering approaches too. And I use my templates for all of those. These are supposed to be very diverse. It takes very little modification to get these templates to work for any number of different trades within the architectural realm and construction trades. So these are really meant to be extremely efficient in approach. It might be that in X-15 we get some new features where I split things up from a new construction versus an as-built, and I might just include both of those. I haven't figured that out yet, but for now, we've got these layout templates. They're going to be 4 different look and feels. So you get 4 different, layouts you could pick from. And they have a lot of cool automated annotations. Annotations being that we're not needing to specify our labels or box labels for our layout boxes. So a couple things there where we're going to automate some of that process. Also, many of the views are going to be sent. And I'm going to go over in this video just some of the methodology for why the Pro Plan template was built the way it was built, and also why these layout templates are so powerful when joined with those Pro Plan templates. So let's take a look. I'm going to do a new layout from template, and I'm going to pick one of these look and feels. Currently there's 4. So it might be that I deprecate this down the line to something less than 4. It's a lot to maintain 4. I might add more to it. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But for now, we've got 4. They all have a very different look. Let's pick this one. And what's going to happen is I'm going to get a prompt that I'm going to say we're missing some files. Now, if you don't get this prompt, I'll show you how to get to what we're doing right now just after this segment of the video. So first up, what we're looking for is a referenced plan file. And this is a very specific workflow that I've created. So file that's not found is the new file, or in this case, it's just Rab's Pro template with a date, the current date of whatever the most current Pro Plan template is. So I'm going to browse for this, but what I'm going to browse for instead is my current project. Now my current project is that I'm going to show you the as-built versus new workflow. Of course, if you don't have an as-built, if you're doing new construction, we're going to talk about how we just bypass this segment of it. So I'm going to look for that new file, okay? And very specifically, I want to look for my -new. Now what I did was I created an as-built from a PDF. I saved it as this file -ab, and then I resaved it as -n. Now I'm not going to touch AB anymore. It's done, besides making a demo plan. But the new plan, I'm going to go in there and modify, do my new design work. So here's the file we're looking for this segment. You can see up here, files present shows, in this case, was place marker AB. This is also going to show up as missing. AB is supposed to be your as-built. Now, if you're a new contractor, new construction contractor, you're just going to replace this also with that new file and just carry on. That's not going to be a big deal. And then I'll have you delete a page that you're not going to need. So in this case, we're going to look for this AB file. Same thing, get back into that same job file, look for that AB. Now, this is very specific. I want you to name your project whatever you'd like and then put a -ab. Why is that? I'll show you in just a second. You see here it's opening up. What it's also doing is kind of populating some elevation views. So a little bit of processing is happening. There we go. Just had to close that dialog box and it popped right up. So first up, we're going to see a couple things happening on this very first sheet. See, a lot of the standards that live inside of the CAD details within the Pro Plan template are populated on this screen. So automatically these are being sent to view. The reason behind this is so that you can link your own standards or replace my standards with your own as you need to for your municipality, your jurisdiction, and then very easily have these sent to view. It also means you could change the font very easily from the plan template itself and have a uniform font change. That's why these live in the plan template itself and then are sent to view. So I've pre-sent these to view in all 4 different versions of this layout template, okay? Next thing is we're seeing a plot plan here that's sent to view. This is from the new file that's sent to view, as well as the coverage analysis macros. If you've got the Pro Plan versus the standard, you're going to have these cover analysis macros and project information sheet. Now, another thing that will happen is if we get down into the 0 sheet, this is actually a saved plan view here. If we tab into it, you're going to see that this is actually a saved plan view. If we look in the edit menu, when we tab in, we'll finally get this open view. That means we're going to open this up and then, per the instructions in the Pro Plan template or the standard template, we're going to open this up and get into our object information panel and input our client name, client city and state, zip code, parcel number, scope of work. Okay. Once we have those, and you have to do this every time that you're going to go print, is, you want to refire up these macros. So you might need to go open this up before you're going to go print. But you can see here, this populated, this is in a very specific place, so that when I close down this view, you're going to see it shows up on that sheet 0. This is the case for all of the plan templates. Is that client information is going to show up, and it's going to populate there automatically for you. Great. Works really well. Next up, you'll see we've got a page index here. That's pretty self-explanatory. The plot plan, you might need to rescale views to fit. Of course, that might happen. And then down at the bottom here, we've got a sheet label system. Now, this is something I put together because I just don't like opening up dialog boxes that much. So it's very nice for me. It works for my brain to be able to switch what my sheet title is quickly on the fly, okay? And how this works is we're going to take this leader line and just link it to whatever we want to rename to. Here's a proposed first story plan. And all I need to do then is zoom in, zoom out, okay? And you can see it just populated back there, back in that spot. So go back to that site plan, zoom in, zoom out. You can see the site plan changed as well. Now you can make new items like this. What's happening here is this text is being driven by the layer name. I've created custom layers that match this text, okay? If you're going to create a new one for yourself, you've got some saved plan views that are different from my naming conventions. Just keep in mind, once you have created a new one, you're going to have to drill through every page and back again for all these macros to reset and then do what they need to be doing. So just something to keep in mind. Let's go to that next page. We're going to see here, we've got a blank area, but we also have floor plan keynotes, your window schedule, your door schedule, and a wall legend. Now there's a couple things to note on this. This is that as-built versus new construction approach. If you're just a new construction contractor, you're just going to delete this page. It's not going to matter anymore. If we delete this page, the enumeration on the sheet label is going to automatically adjust itself. So don't worry about that. I'm going to go to this next page. So everything on this page, with the exception of the wall legend, is linked to your AB plan. The wall legend is always linked to the new plan. I'm expecting that you put all types of walls in your new plan, and that drives the legend. It's a lot easier to do that way, okay? So the door schedule and window schedule are just for the AB plan. We go forward a page, we're going to see that we have a view sent to layout already. This view is my new plan view. This is the only view sent to these layouts, and there's a reason for that. I'm expecting that you're drawing in a little bit of a different drawing space for every project. Depends on the size of the project, right? You might have this a little off center from what I have here. So when you get in, you're going to immediately need to recenter this view. In the case of this project, I've got a pretty large house. So I'm going to go ahead and expand this a little bit, kind of shift it over. And then I'm going to use this new tool in X-14, which is pan scale layout box. We're going to get a preview of where the building is in here, and I'm going to just set this up to be exactly where I want it to be. Okay, that's right about right. Now let me drill through this, and I'm going to turn off this extra PDF here. It'll look a little bit cleaner if we've got this turned off. And then I'll get back to my layout. There we go. So I've got it on the sheet. Now, mind you, I have my construction lines so that they're infinity lines right now. I do that in the first stage of my project, and then I adjust them back to be clipped, and I trim them to just outside of my dimension string so we can see those construction line callouts. Just a note for you. So what I expect you to do from here is copy this. We're going to copy this. We're going to go back a page to that AB. We're going to paste hold position. Now we know the two views are lined up. Next, I will relink. I'm going to relink this view, and I'm going to look for that AB file, and I'm going to get into that plan view and look for that floor plan. There we go. Now we're showing our existing floor plan. Now something spectacular happens when you do this. Look at that. Even though the actual saved floor plan is just called floor plan, because all we did was we made an AB, right? And then we copied it, saved it as our new, and then worked on our new. The floor plan saved plan view never changed its name. So what's happening is this labeling macro is looking for that -AB in your file name. If your file name has a -AB, it's going to add existing to it. The reason that's powerful is not only can you do a floor plan view, you can do any of the other views as well. If you need to show an existing framing plan, you can do that, and this will automatically look for that AB and add it to it. Another thing that it's adding is the story number for particular saved plan views. You can see here, if we go in and we look at the link, what we're looking at is the floor plan saved plan view. You'll notice in the Pro plan and the standard plan that I sell, it does not have a first story and second story designation. I don't need them. In X-14, we got the ability to unlink the floor and also have a macro looking for that floor number and being able to utilize that macro. So now all we're doing is we've got a single view floor plan. If you have a two-story home, and you want to show two stories one page after the next, all we're going to do is copy this to the next page, right? So we'll copy this to the next page, just get to a blank page. We're going to get past some elevations. Copy this, and then I can change this to that second floor, and it's going to add second story to the title and call it floor plan in the label. This template is made so that you don't have to do any annotations with labels. Hopefully, you never run into an instance where you might need to. So let's get back in and take a look again. So it added first story to the floor plan save plan view. Similar here, it added first story and it added existing to the floor plan saved plan view. So pretty easy. Of course, if we're just doing a new construction plan, we don't need this. We're going to delete this whole page. No problem there. And then something that I like to do is I like to add a little precursor. You can see here out of the Pro template, we have an E for an existing in front of all these windows. So when I create my new construction plan on this one right here, here's what I do. I go in, this is my new construction plan. I know that, well, no design work's been done so far, but we're going to grab something like this window, and we can grab all windows just by select marquee all similar, open this up, and then get into that label tab. And we're going to say, well, we can get rid of it, the E, and change it to new if there is new. Or we can also say that we're not going to include this in the schedule, right? We're not going to include it in the schedule. There you go. So maybe I have one window that is in fact a new window. I'm going to open that up. And then same thing in that label tab, I'm going to put in that N for new. And in that schedule, we're going to say this is included in our schedule. Watch what happens when we get back to that layout. This is a very nice workflow. There we go. Our schedule is updated. It just has those windows that are designated as new. Well, and in my schedules, I include any kind of slider exterior door by default. So you might want to put new in front of that, up to you. So there we go. And we can see here, The only last thing we need to do is, if you're in, an area that requires any kind of energy code compliance, you might need to change your solar heat gain coefficient and U factor to update those windows. Now let's look forward. Now we've got our elevations. Elevations, same kind of thing. These are custom labels. Now, when you need to create additional elevations, here's what I'd have you do. I'd have you copy one of these windows and link it to your elevation camera. Don't send your elevation camera to view. Instead, copy this and link it. And then you're going to have to locate. Now, sometimes it's difficult to locate. Let me just show you a couple tricks, okay? When we use our pan window, well, first of all, we'll update the view. Now, my views are always sent as plot lines, color fill. That makes it so that we can snap things and line them up. So I've got an existing rear elevation and I've got a regular elevation. I might try to line these up, and for a very specific reason. I'm going to tab into that existing. I'm going to concentrically resize this until I get this all the way into the view. There we go. That's what I want. And going to kind of clip it back. Flip it back. I barely need any of this view. Now I can take the one that was lined up over the top and have it snap to those same boxes, right? Now I know these two views, existing versus new, are perfectly lined up. Kind of the same thing. I can center this up over here. This is just the case where I have views that are pretty expansive and I might try to squeeze them in side by side, something like this. So just update this view, get this into place. You can rearrange on the sheet. But it is nice to note that I have a custom label here that is showing us our existing. Again, it's looking for that AB. It's adding existing to the elevation. It's got this little call out marker. I think it's a nice look. So this is all kind of a uniform standard look for all these things. Very easy to get this whole page organized and set to, to fit on the screen. This particular layout template is giving you a really large screen to put these items on, all the way up to your binding edge. Let me go forward past this elevations and we're going to get into my kitchen page. This is where I have a saved view of a kitchen. Now, mind you, I don't really know where your kitchen is going to be located on your project, so you're going to have to immediately use this pan scale layout box and get it to where your kitchen is. In this case, I've got to pan it over. Here's my kitchen, okay? Same thing with these views. Now, these views are a little bit more challenging. These are wall elevation views. The reason I like to have them saved is it's a way to add annotation to these cameras so that you're not re-annotating every time. But it does pose a challenge about finding and locating where this camera is in the scene here. So let me go ahead and do our pan zoom, and we can see here, I can't really find where that is, right? I can't see where this is. So something that's nice to do is you can change the scale on the fly. We can punch in something like 16th scale on the fly, right? And then try to fit this box in. And we can recenter layout box contents and then update the view. There we go. Now we can see this. So that when we use pan scale on the fly again, set this back to that 1/2 inch, very easily be able to get this into your view and then clip the layout box as needed. Now, sometimes when we do this, it loses its plot lines color fill. Just make sure that's enabled, and then we get that really sharp vector looking image. So a little bit of working around, not too much. Like I said, that takes about 30 seconds of effort to get this in place, and then you can use some CAD blocks to block out section cuts, etc. We're going to just drill into this plan view and see what I've got here. We're in the kitchen plan saved plan view. Now, in the most current set, we just have this call out. Now, this call out is unlinked. You can link this back to your layout if you'd like, if that makes it nice for you to kind of drill in. So I would just hit that link, get into our job name AB layout here, and then pages. Right now we're on this sheet right here. We see it in the preview. There we go. So then if I double click this call out, it's going to bring me to that layout page. Maybe that's nice. Maybe that's a quick little workflow for you. And then we can click this to get back here. Now, the reason I use this instead of a bunch of individual cameras is sometimes it's hard to get those cameras in the right place and still convey that we're giving you elevations in a very clean and concise way. I'll show you what I mean. We're going to get into that working plan view. And in the working plan view, we're actually showing the cameras, where these cameras exist, okay? These are where those cameras exist. They're on that sheet A5. Something you can do here in this call out is, now that we have this linked to this page, let me get back here. We'll open this up. Instead of double clicking it, we're going to open it up. Text below line, we can hit this macro, object specific, and we can say linked view call out label, linked view page label, linked view page number, any different things like this. I do the page label. There we go. It's showing us that our kitchen elevations are on sheet A5. Really simple way of doing this. Very dynamic, looks clean. I love this look. It's pretty quick to set it up. So quickly, we'll get a sheet of kitchen plans pushed together here. This is a great way of doing this. If you're a kitchen designer where you do need to show the whole house, this is an excellent workflow. If you just need to show a couple of individual pages, keep in mind you can always override our sheet page labels, right? Or we can just delete pages as needed. So let's go forward a page. You're going to see here I've got a couple details. Now this is specific to the Pro Plan template, right? We have these details in the Pro Plan template. I just added this detail. This came out today. This detail is specific for a workflow where I am hiring an engineer. Instead of providing engineering myself, I'm hiring an engineer. In that case, I don't need to show as many details. So this particular detail came in so that we could use our project macro information to drive things like the bat fill information or the type of roof that it is, vents that might need to be pushed in here. I like to say maybe our this is per braced wall plan. Maybe our braced wall plan is S sheets. You can see here S sheets for foundation. Right now we're in our Pro Plan when we click on this, so we can of course get into those CAD details, get into that project information, macro designations, and we've got some additional options here. You're going to see here I did add a rigid continuous installation, so that's an update to the newest Pro Plan offering that's going out today. But a couple other things we've got in here is we've got some sections that say per S sheets. So you can see here in the sheathing per S sheets, you can see, in some of this foundation stuff, we're going to have some per S sheets designations there. So that's nice to link those up. That way, that one detail shows up and it's going to point us to those S sheets. And you can change that, of course, to say attached S sheets if you'd like, or anything that you'd like to say, you can change that on the fly. Now, another thing that happened in the Pro Plan template with the update today is I made sure to conform all coordinates of the top 2 points of every detail, so that if I take this detail, copy it over, what's going to happen, I'm going to relink this. I'm going to relink this to some other detail, be it a deck ledger, energy heel, any number of things. And when I relink it, it's going to populate in the same exact place. I also have special macro labeling macros going on here where it's getting rid of that prefix called detail dash, right? We see detail dash in the project browser. It's getting rid of that detail dash. It's setting a no scale. There we go. Very quick to get a full page of details out if we want to, just by populating these, relinking them to whatever you want on the fly. It's a very quick method for getting a detail page. Finally, we're at our E sheet. Let's see if my clipboard is still holding that plan view. It's not, so let's get back a few pages. I'm expecting that you would take your save plan view just like this, right? Copy it, go for those pages, get into that E sheet, and then we're going to relink. Now, the electrical plan is similar to other plans where we can designate first floor or second floor, right? If I instead relink this to something like the framing floor plan, well, the framing floor plan save plan view is set so that you cannot change the floor level that it's associated with. If we've got, let's see, if excuse me, it's our foundation plan. This is set to have just the current floor only. Foundation plan, current floor only. And then in fact, if we relink to framing floor plan, that can be changed floor by floor. But in this case, we can designate first floor or foundation level for a framing floor plan, or second floor if we've got multiple framing floor plans. You're going to notice here, once we set it to that first story framing floor plan, it's going to add that to the title, that first story framing floor plan. We have it on a foundation plan level where we're showing footings and our framing on that level. Then it's going to remove that and it's just going to say framing floor plan. In this case, we're going to relink this to our electrical. There we go. Now, with all of these templates, I include this sheet label system for 14 pages. You can make it work for more than 14 pages. You would simply have to duplicate what's here. There's a couple things you have to look at. This is a call out. This call out would need to say P and then whatever the page that you're on. Notice it's %sign P14 %sign. Now, if we edit the page information, you're going to see here, same thing, except for that we've added a global macro. So %sign global macro, meaning that $sign P14 %sign, okay? Then we'd have to get into our text macro management, make a duplicate of P14, copy all this, and then at the very bottom here, change this P14 to P15 would be our next page. So you can add a ton of pages this way. I don't do it because it's a lot to manage. Anytime I'm going to make updates to this over the year means I have to make updates to 14 pages across 4 different versions. So it's a lot of work for me to do that. But if you would like to add additional pages on top of this and then just bring in new elements from any kind of updates, you can of course do that. Now let's take a look at some of the other views here. Let's see. Open up our template A. You're going to see here still the same thing. We're missing some of those views, right? Press OK. Here we go. This is kind of a traditional look, right? It's missing all of our standards and everything just because, well, we didn't relink that view. So let me do that real quick. Get to layout, reference plan view, that Pro plan template in this case, that's fine. Here's all our standards. I added some abbreviations there as well. Our plot plan, of course, work through your plot plan, get this to look just right. And then there we go. We've got a page index, project information, our revision tables on the right. This is a very standard looking template. Template B. This is a particular look I came up with. A little bit more modern. Expect that you just have your logo on just the first page here. That's it. You know, missing the logo here because it's not contained in the folder. So you can add your own logo in here. You can add your own, you know, graphics in here. I just have, this is a graphical approach to a layout. Okay. This is also expected that we're not going to be printing this out. This is for a digital set. So I have a black binding. You can of course change that on your sheet 0. As we go through and link everything, you're going to see our project information populates over here. Revision tables are on the left-hand side towards the binding. This is a very kind of a modern look. And then our template C. This is another more of a modern look. I tend to think that this is more geared towards the kitchen designer or interior designer where they don't need a ton of real estate in the middle of the screen here. So we're putting a lot of the information on the right here. putting our schedules onto the right here. You know, our own company info in the right here. This is definitely a more modern look. I expect that you might print this at half scale, check set at half scale at 11 by 17. Might be useful there. So there you go. Another look. Now questions come up on on these templates. People are always asking little bits of information. I try to push out as much information as possible. I'm making videos at a very fast pace to try to answer everybody's questions for these things because so many people have so many different workflows. And then next year for our X-15, we're switching to the option to do a subscription-based plan where you get access to a bunch of videos that are catered specifically to how I use these templates. And it's going to be ongoing. So hoping to have ongoing kind of a working relationship with you through video. And that will help explain exactly what I'm doing with these templates. I just used this very template to create some working drawings, and I did it faster than I ever have before. Every time I get these things ready to sell, I'm putting in a ton of hours to make sure that they're foolproof and that they make sense to the end user and that they're doing everything that I'd expect them to do, which means I end up finding a bunch of ways to improve them. So this is much improved. I just used it myself. I put together a construction document set in just a couple hours, straight from a PDF, tracing a PDF to an as-built report, and it was fantastic. So enjoy. Again, this is priced to sell. It's priced to be a companion to the Pro Plan template or the standard plan template. And many of those views that you might have been having questions about and why they were even there, well, this will illuminate some of the reasons why I did the things that I did. So another nice thing to go over is the changelog for today's current Pro Plan template. We've got a big change here. If we get into our CAD details changelog, you're going to see another 15 items have changed, including making a terrain-based working workflow. I added a custom drip edge to all of our, let's just get in here. Let's get a 3D view. Added a custom drip edge to all roof edges. So this looks really sharp in 3D. Model this drip edge, it's applied as a shadow board, and then it ties into this gutter profile. That's my 3D gutter profile. So this is looking really, really good just out of the box. I added a working terrain saved plan view. Now the working terrain, let's just create a new plan. Let's take a look at this. Working plan view, if I drill down through the different working plan views, I'm expecting that you are working in these views and that all other views are print views only. You shouldn't need to work in the print views. You should only be working in the working plan views. So let's take a look at this real quick. We're going to get into that working terrain view. Now the thought with the working terrain view, and I've got my terrain layer set down here, is I'm going to put in some information like an elevation line, or this might be a 0 inch, and then put in some information back here, or this might be 100 feet. That's a pretty steep slope. And I'm going to either open up that terrain or just click on build terrain. And what it's going to show me is this is the working view. This isn't the print set. This is what it should be looking like. Okay, it's giving us all this data, right? We're seeing all of our stepping, our secondary lines, our primary lines, right? We're seeing that we've got 10-foot primary lines and the foot lines in between. And we can very easily work that terrain into something that's workable. You can, of course, change some of these things if you don't like the size of the font, etc. In my previous videos about the Pro Plan template, I show you how to use the lot coverage analysis. And then when we finally get into our plot plan view, you're going to see this is that look where we've got just those primary lines and these primary designations for our elevation changes, right? And we can turn this off if we want to. And then I added in some information here that you might want to use on your plot plan to kind of, build your plot plan from here. I switched some of the CAD arrows. There were some discrepancies with some of these things. Some of these items are just fix-it items. I changed some of the blue elements that were in some of the camera views to black, as they were just annotations. They should have been black all along. I turned the exterior fixtures layer on in elevation. I'm starting to use downspouts in all of my drawings, and I like to have them as exterior fixtures. If you didn't see it, I offer a free downspout package. Very easy to build out downspouts. That's on the website. I did a bunch of updates to our interior dimensioning tools and our interior furnished save plan views. That should work a lot better for that interior designer where you're using the manual dimension tool to do offsets from casing. You're using those dimensioning tools to dimension to furniture. Fixed a couple of the macros that weren't correct in some of the details. And then I added some continuous installation detail to those macro designations. Made sure all of those details were aligned in proper XY coordinates, added the abbreviations to the standard, and then that force center arrow call out. So number of different changes to that Pro Plan template. That's dated today. There you go. Go purchase that new layout template and then let me know what you think, and let me know if you've got any questions. I answer them as quickly as can. Usually when these things first get released, I get hit with a ton of questions, so please allow a couple days for my response, but I really do try to get to them within 24 hours. And cheers.